right, so it's my honor and privilege today to introduce to you our speaker, Reverend Patty Spicer. As I shared before, she was my practitioner's teacher. She was also part of my ministerial class. She was here at this center for, gosh, how many years were you here, Patty? A long time. She was just a baby when she arrived here. And her and Reverend Sheila had the center up in Idlewild that they ran, and they were the leaders of. And she spoke here a couple months ago, and she's amazing. And we asked her if she'd please come back. So please give a warm, warm welcome to Reverend Patty Spicer.
Speak now. Oh, she's on.
Yeah. I want you to listen because something wonderful is happening. And I'm so excited to be here today to share this secret with you because it will transform your life if you're willing to use it. This past week, I admit that I was overcommitted and overloaded with meetings and demands on my time, and I was beginning to feel the stress until I remembered that I had forgotten the truth of who I am. And I needed to stop judging and to practice exactly what I want to share with you today. An old woman cleaned a very old bottle, and out popped a genie. And the amazed woman asked if she got 3 wishes. "Nope, sorry," said the genie. "I 3-wish genie is a storybook myth. I'm a 1-wish genie. So what will it be?" Well, the woman didn't hesitate. She said, "I want peace in the Middle East. You see this map? All these countries." She said, "I want these countries to stop fighting with each other, and it will bring about world peace and harmony." The genie looked at the map and he said, "Lady, please be reasonable. These countries have been at war for thousands of years, and I'm out of shape being in a bottle for 500 years. Yeah, I'm good, but I'm not that good. Besides, I don't think it can be done. Just make another wish, and please be reasonable." So the woman thought for a minute, and then she said, "Okay. Well, I've never been able to find the right man. You know, one that's considerate and fun, likes to cook and help with house cleaning, is good looking, great in bed, and gets along with my family and doesn't watch sports all the time, and is forever faithful. That's what I wish for, a good man." The genie sighed heavily and said, "Let me see that map again." How many of you have had times when you wished it, you had a private genie to grant your every desire? Anybody? You do. It's called God, Spirit, or Source. It is you in expression. Religious science, in a nutshell, teaches us that wherever your heart desires and your mind can embody, you will constantly manifest. It only will happen when you have a passionate determination and absolute intention to be constantly in connection with your source and to live in awareness and union and harmony and oneness. It's living on the affirmative side of life, accentuating the positive and eliminating the negative, like the song says. There's an old story that has emerged in different cultures all over the world long before email, and perhaps you can relate to it too. There was a wise man who went out to fish on the river, and he was having a great time. And gradually, a heavy fog began to settle in. He continued to fish, and then he saw a boat upstream coming right at him. He began to yell, "Stop, don't you see me?" Boat came. "Stop, stop, don't you see me?" He became agitated and angrier, and then the boat slammed into his. And he realized that the boat was empty. He quickly grabbed a grapple and tied the boat down to his boat, knowing that someone had lost his boat and he didn't want it to go on down the stream. He was showing kindness and compassion to an empty boat and an unseen owner. However, if the boat had not been empty, it would have been a different matter. And this is what happens to us in relationships. It's never about the empty boat. Actually, it's all about you. At a seminar a few years ago, Dr. Andrea Absabido shared with me about her love for whitewater river rafting on her most recent trip to Trinity River. She said that she became aware that there are different ways to be on the river. The first is when she's floating on the surface, and when she's in the front of the raft, she's paying particular attention to what's in front of her. She often can't see the river because it's already gone over the falls. So she focused on the surface, trying to navigate the rapids, avoid the boulders, and know when to stop paddling and when to just hold on. Just like the surface of life, isn't that what most of us are focused on most of the time? The daily challenges that are demanding our attention in the world of effects. Then there's a second whole other level of water that lies beneath the surface. Beautiful fish and otters and water life and rocks and boulders and banks abound. Dr. Andrea's group was excited to discover freshwater clams, and they were in the roots of the alder trees. She looked and she looked and she looked. She couldn't see them. Then they described what they looked like, and she had seen them, but she did not know what she was looking at. Sometimes when we look deep, we don't know what we're looking at. Someone else has to help us to see, and that would be our ministers, our practitioners, and maybe science mind classes. We're told you can see why you have this experience because you have set cause in motion. This is the depth, the second way where we must pay attention to our internal dialogue. These are the thoughts and the self-talk that go 24/7. and are the very thoughts that we can change. Religious science teaches us to listen to the depths. Sometimes our thoughts are really good or not. We need to know and understand the river of life, spirit flowing through us in the depths that create what's happening on the surface. The boulders, or our resistance, underneath makes the rapids. We can learn to navigate in a different way. The third depth is soul connection, and our teaching takes us even farther below as we learn to navigate inwardly. Pure spirit resides within us, and it's as still as it can be. It takes courage and risk to go to the source, the core of our being, because we feel vulnerable as spirit transforms us into something new. We're co-creators in the partnership with God. It is yearning to express itself through us by manifesting our every desire. It wants us to flourish and embracing us, always available. It is unconditional, this divine love, cherishing and embracing us, and it's always available and permanent forever and ever. So, something wonderful is happening. All the love and joy and happiness we can possibly imagine. And it's only waiting for your awareness to be released by you. Well, how can you do that? I believe that the secret that can transform your life and access your highest good is your awareness, courage, commitment, and use of 4 easy tools to help you stay aligned with your source. There's a story about a young man who'd been out of work for a long time, and he felt exhausted all of his resources in finding a job. And one day he saw a help wanted ad for the zoo. And he was desperate and willing to do anything. And he vowed to himself he would do whatever kind of job it was. So he filled out the application and he had the interview, and the personnel manager stressed repeatedly that the one major requirement for this position would be confidentiality. I can do that, he assured the interviewer over and over. He was hired and he was sent into the next room where they fitted him with a gorilla suit. It seemed that the zoo's main attraction, the gorilla, was dying and they needed a temporary replacement. At first, he was very uncomfortable and hung out at the back of the enclosure. And he noticed that whenever he did move around, people began to come and watch. He went home and he read all about gorilla behavior. And he began to climb up the tree and hang on the cage rails and so on. And as he attracted more crowds, he began to swing on a rope, swinging way out over the lion enclosure. And as he did so, the crowd would say, "Oh," and then with relief when he would swing back. One day, his grip slipped, and he fell into the lion den. And the lion rushed out to attack, and he forgot everything and began to yell, "Help, help me!" And the lion roared over his screams, and he said, "Shh, you want to get us fired?" We all put on our suits, our masks at times, because we are fearful of showing our real, authentic selves. It takes courage. Courage is a form of love. Oh, I think I've talked about awareness. I hope you are paying attention. I'm now talking about courage because it's a form of love. And it's a way to love yourself and honor the truth of who you really are. When I hear the word courage, I think of the lion in The Wizard of Oz. Do you remember the lion? And he was trying to get everyone to believe that he had courage, but he didn't really believe it himself. He'd say, put him up, put him up. I got courage. But then, if anyone called his bluff, he'd run away. We find him so lovable because we can see behind his facade and see his vulnerability, although we pretend otherwise. We are all vulnerable. It takes a little courage to follow the lead of the heart when it prompts us to get moving and to claim the good that is our divine birthright. It takes courage to live spiritually in a world that believes in limitation. We are subtly coerced to settle for less, to make do with so-so relationships, and to be grateful for what little joy we may have. Your greatest challenge is really to accept that God is truly present in your most intimate level of thinking, feeling, and believing. You trust that your greatest needs are being met by trusting God and believing all the events in your life to be useful. Then you're free to receive the blessings of each day without worrying about the next blessing or the next day. Spiritual courage is required to respond to your life from your absolute essence, your creator self, rather than only drift from drama to trauma until your lifetime is used up. Courage is actually a spiritual quality. You need courage to speak the truth, to love the unlovable, to risk being different, to search for light in the darkness of violence and despair. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is when you're afraid and you go ahead and do it anyway. Overcoming our fear is one of the most wonderful gifts that we can give ourselves. It's the freeing of our soul. Once we let go of the fear of following our heart, we truly become alive. Winston Churchill said, within every human being exists an infinite supply of creativity, strength, and wonder. You are capable of more than you know. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. My husband, Larry, recently received an Apple Watch. It's wonderful. It tells him every little bit to stand up. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was something inside us that would remind us to stand up and focus on God? We're waiting for oh, yeah, oh, it works. Okay. Some people are always waiting for the right time to do or be something. And when they come to a crossword sign, if one points to heaven and the other points to workshop for heaven, they choose to go to the workshop. Someday you're going to run out of some days. Kenneth Blanchard writes, there's a difference between interest and commitment. When you're interested in doing something, you do it only when it's convenient. But when you're committed to something, you do it to provide only results. It's like eggs and bacon for breakfast. you do it. And you want to accept no excuses. The eggs were committed, but the eggs were interested, but the pig was definitely committed. Okay. Author Eric Butterworth talked about people as takers or givers. He said givers are convinced that life is forgiving. They recognize that all as a giving process, not only in the sense of charitable giving or tithing, which Butterworth calls techniques, but rather in the awareness that life is a matter of developing or unfolding from within. Not something to get, but something to express. Be a giver. Commit to discovering who and what you are as a spiritual being. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And you are here to find the greatness within yourself that wants to express. Commit to using the tools that will make it so. So there are 4 easy tools to help you stay aligned in your source. The first one is develop an attitude of gratitude. Live in a state of gratitude. It's impossible to be stressed and appreciative at the same time. Give thanks in all things to shift your consciousness to a place of greater receptivity to what is possible. Count your blessings before you get up first thing in the morning and the last thing you do before sleeping. Try keeping a gratitude journal. Focus only on what you want to experience. Wholeness, creativity, and joy. Marianne Williamson says joy is what happens when we allow ourselves to recognize how good things really are. The second tool is look for the good in everything. Identify your good in the blessings in disguise, and stop telling others your woes. Reframe daily situations with new perspective. Learn to see the beauty and the benefit in every experience and every other soul. Catch others doing something right, something good. In ancient times, a king had this huge boulder placed in the roadway, and then he hid and watched to see if anyone would remove it. Some of the kingdom's biggest merchants and courtiers came by, and they simply walked around it. Many of them loudly blamed the king for not keeping the roads up and clear, but none of them did anything about getting the big stone out of the way. Then a peasant farmer came along carrying a load of vegetables on his back. And when he came to the boulder, he laid down his burden and he began trying to move it to the side of the road. After much struggling and straining, he finally succeeded. And as he was picking up his vegetables, he noticed a purse lying in the road where the boulder had been. The purse contained many gold pieces and a note from the king. It said, the gold was for the person who removed the stone from the roadway. The farmer had learned what many others have learned since. Every obstacle presents an opportunity to improve one's condition. In the early 1900s, steel magnate Andrew Carnegie commissioned a reporter named Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, to research success. Well, one of his discoveries was hidden within every disadvantage or obstacle lay an equally powerful opportunity. Successful people look for those opportunities. And the third tool is be mindful. Mary Baker Eddy said, stand guardian at the portals of your mind. And Ernest Holmes, our founder, wrote, "The one power responds mathematically, immediately, and with spontaneity to thought." So watch your thoughts and your words carefully. Cancel out the ones that are negative and harmful and replace them with positive ones immediately. First-year science of mind students often wear rubber bands around their wrists, and if they say something negative, they snap it and then immediately reframe something positive. They often say to each other, "And what's in your thinking?" So that everybody's positive. Dr. Wayne Dyer said on having a stress-free life, "Our natural state is joy. Understand that you are the source of your stress. Stress and anxiety are choices that we make to process unpleasant events rather than entities that are waiting to invade our lives. If you blame outside forces for making your life stressful, like the empty boat, you only make stress more difficult to beat. When you admit that your own mind is the source, stress becomes manageable. You always have a choice. Do I stay with thoughts that produce stress within me, or do I work to activate thoughts that make stress impossible? Our intention creates our reality. Remember, you are God, loving and expressing in all that you do. So cultivate and create peace. The fourth tool is practice the presence. Focus on your breathing to calm and relax you. Stay in the present moment awareness. Walk through each day in deep personal relationship with this indwelling presence. Meditating, prayer treatment, spiritual reading, getting in tune with nature, and seeing the beauty of the infinite everywhere are ways of connecting and communicating with your source. Express the inherent God qualities of abundance, balance, beauty, freedom, joy, love, order, peace, power, unity, wholeness, and wisdom. Find time to be quiet and alone. We're told Jesus often went off and was alone. So what would life be like if everyone practiced the truth of going within to the inner depths of divine perfection and God guidance? What would your life be like if you quit living on the surface of effects and you went into the depths to flow and partner with Spirit? Within you is the divine capacity to manifest and attract all that you need or desire. I know you can do it with this new awareness, courage, commitment, and using the 4 tools. Develop an attitude of gratitude. Look for the good in everything. Be mindful and practice the presence. Ernest Holmes said, "Change your thinking, change your life." You're starting out on a great adventure, a wondrous journey, and you're guided by love, inspired by truth, and your future will be what you make it. I challenge you to not only think about today's message, but to act upon it. Allow yourself to be transformed. Are you ready to receive greatly? Yes. So jump into the river of spirit life. The water is great. And know that every moment something wonderful is happening. You are making it so. And so it is. Namaste. If you didn't memorize my whole talk, I wanted to let you know that we have some handouts about how you can be transformed with some highlights that you can take home and remind yourself. And they're out in the foyer. It's been a delight. Thank you.
Was I so blessed to have her for a teacher, right?